Real estate agent and the bodybuilder. This is 7 business lessons that I learned from a fitness influencer that I'm using every day within our real estate business to generate more leads and be more profitable. Quite a few years ago, I started to notice this trend. You see, I'd been following the fitness industry for quite a long time, and I had seen the progression from the standpoint of a social media and marketing and content marketing and all those type of things grow over the last 10 years. But what I started to realize is that real estate was kind of taking the same trend lines that fitness had about 5 years before. So I decided, if I'm in the real estate industry, why don't I dig into this a little more and see if I can leverage any of these things that I'm seeing right now in the fitness industry and be ahead of the game when it comes to my real estate business. So I decided, why don't I go hire one of these fitness influencers and see if they're willing to help me out? So I reached out to a guy, hired him for personal training. The really interesting thing is, on the very first phone call, I said, I don't want you to teach me anything about fitness. I just want you to teach me about how you grew your business and scaled your business up using social media and marketing. And the funny thing about it is, he actually laughed at me and he said, dude, I hate real estate agents. Um, but he was like, you paid me. So, I mean, you've got 3 hours of my time. So why not? The really interesting thing about it is, we got to have build a pretty good relationship in those 3 hours worth of training sessions. And he was very, very open and honest about what he's done in his business to grow it from where he was, which was a nobody, to where it was, which at this time, it was a multi-million-dollar business. The information that I learned there was super, super valuable. And from that meeting or those meetings, I've taken 7 takeaways that I use every day in our business. And I want to share those with you today. The first lesson that I learned is, if you want to be super successful in real estate, you have to look outside of real estate when it comes to marketing and lead generation. One thing that I noticed, and I came up over and over again, are tactics that this guy was using that were light years ahead of what we were doing in real estate. And when I say that, what I mean is they were using a lot of the same things, but they were taking new digital marketing twists and putting them on old marketing techniques. The reason they were doing this within the fitness industry is it was much more efficient and it was much more profitable. Because let's face it, if you're in real estate and someone says, hey, send out a whole bunch of postcards, over time, those touches get very expensive. However, you can do the same thing and get the same amount of touches digitally for much cheaper, which ultimately is going to make your business much more efficient. The second thing that I learned after talking to this fitness influencer is, we're not special in real estate. We lose and we make money in real estate just like any other business. But I think all too often we've convinced ourselves, and part of it is because the industry has convinced us that we're special. Because our commissions are so high, what I see all the time is agents taking much more risk with their business because they just can justify it with, well, one closing will pay all these things off. But the thing that agents need to understand is, yes, our commissions are much higher, but our conversion rates in real estate are much lower. So ultimately, just because the commissions are higher, it doesn't give you the right to take a lot more risk with your business that you wouldn't in other industries. Number 3, one thing this fitness influencer was absolutely huge on was optimizations of your process from the top of the funnel all the way down. Now, he was selling a lot of e-commerce and coaching programs and those type of things. So I understand it's a little different in real estate where we're trying to generate leads. But his whole thing was, start at the top of your funnel and optimize every step of the process all the way down. And part of this is keeping very good numbers and keeping very good track of what's actually going on within each step of that process. But he was really, really big on, if you optimized everything from the top down, you would have a much more efficient system. And for him, this was very important because, especially when it came to his supplements, his margins were pretty thin. So ultimately in real estate, our margins are a little bit better, sometimes depending on your business setup and everything. So even those optimization points are even more important because they're just putting more money in your pocket. Number 4, he was huge on utilizing paid ads to bring people into your lead generation ecosystem, or for him, it was his business ecosystem, and then using organic content to nurture them down the funnel because it was so much cheaper than continually running ads to people to get them to move down the funnel. So he was really, really big on organic social media content, creating that content and putting it out there, making sure it got in front of all of his followers and people who he was engaged with online, but also doing a ton of email marketing and other things like that that kept him top of mind and slowly moved those clients down the funnel. Now, I think in real estate, we can do the same thing. But what I see a lot of the time is real estate agents get people in at the top of their ecosystem when it comes to lead generation, and then they use paid ads to bring those people down the funnel. And the problem with that is by the time you actually get them to the closing table, you've absolutely spent a ton of money. And sometimes you've just eaten away all the profits that you're going to get on that one deal. And I think this is especially important in real estate because how long the nurture sequence is from the time somebody enters the top of your sales funnel till the time they get to the closing table. A lot of times that's 18 months to 2 years. So if you're constantly paying for ads to nurture those people down, you are totally going to eat away all your profits, and that transaction isn't going to be very profitable. Another thing that he was huge on was utilizing social media content and anything that puts your face out there to build trust with people. You see, he was a huge believer that people would buy from people that they trusted. So what he would do a lot of the time is he would use his social media and viral videos and YouTube and all those type of things to get in front of a ton of people. And then slowly over time, he would use educational style content, educational email campaigns, all that type of stuff to try to build trust with people because he knew at the end of the day, if he could build trust with them when they needed a supplement or they needed a fitness coach or something along those lines, he was going to be the first person that they called. But all too often, what I see in real estate is people are throwing out a whole bunch of social media content and they're just assuming that if they put out the content, people are going to pick up their phone and say, I just need a real estate agent. It's not how it works. And he really showed me that ultimately the whole process of getting someone from the top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel is all about building trust with them through that process. The other thing that that does is it allows them to become repeat clients because once you have that trust, they build loyalty and they're less likely for other transactions to go find another real estate agent because you built the trust and the loyalty with that client. Lesson number 6. He was huge on allowing clients to see the story and not just talk sales or not just try to sell people, but show people the process. And this kind of goes with the last one because ultimately a lot of that was about trust. He was very upfront with his followers when it came to content, the struggles he was having within his fitness journey, and all those type of things. But ultimately it was the story that sold the products. It wasn't him actually trying to sell the products. And that's one thing I think all too often we do in real estate is we like to get up there and do what I like to call look at me content, which is really just a lot of like fluff on how good you are as a real estate agent or how many sales you've had or that type of stuff. Let's face it, that doesn't really resonate with very many people anymore online. I think it used to, but it's not anymore because ultimately they don't really care about how you solve somebody else's problems. They really just care about how you can solve their problems. And if you're just talking about all the time how you sold Bob and Sally's house down the road in 3 days over list, blah, 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 and that doesn't resonate with your target market, it's not going to do very much to get you more business. Number 7, and the final point to this, which I think is absolutely huge when it comes to real estate, is you need to teach your leads at such a high level that they could literally do real estate without you. You see, he totally understood within the fitness industry, anybody can go online and get a free fitness plan or those type of things. That's not where his value was. His value was in his training and experience of getting results for other people. And I think in real estate, it's the same way. Our value is not in transferring title or getting somebody to transfer a title on a home or a property. It's all about reducing stress, using our training experience to make a much more profitable transaction for our clients, or simply just mitigating the risk that come along with transferring the title. But all too often, I think we sell our services as a necessity, and we're just not anymore. And that was what he really understood. And he said, look, if you want your conversion rates to go up, what you need to do is you need to teach people at such a high level that they could do it for themselves. He said, however, if you do that, they're going to turn around and hire you because they want you to walk through that process with them. I hope you guys got something out of this video. I know for me personally, the 3 hours that I spent with this fitness influencer were some of the most valuable time that I've ever spent any money on within my business career. The stuff that I learned from him was absolutely phenomenal. And what's really cool about it is how much I learned that there's so much outside of real estate that we can learn within real estate if we just open ourselves up to understanding that we're not special. We can learn from other industries. Now, don't get me wrong. I think you also need to be learning from the real estate industry. But I think all too often we just pigeonhole ourselves and looking at just what real estate can provide for us and not looking outside, because ultimately you're an entrepreneur. You're running a business. And at the end of the day, like I said at the start of this video, we're not special. We make and lose money just like any other business does. So hope you guys found anything about this. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments below.